Tonight on News 5 Live, the new leader of the opposition says he would resign under one condition. Fully vaccinated people hoping for relief from COVID-19 restrictions. And murder in Mexico. Belize's ambassador works to get 2 bodies and the lone survivor repatriated. The exclusive details about what happened in Tulum coming up in tonight's newscast.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime. While with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
Infinite Health presents Common Sense Herbs, everything your body needs, and are all natural, dairy-free, non-GMO, cruelty-free, gluten-free, and are FDA monitored. Everything your body needs. Distributor in Belize, Infinite Health, Birdseye, Belize City. Telephone number 613-1914. That's 613-1940.
Yes, no. Yes, yes, no. Yes, no. Yeah. I need to try it first.
And welcome to News 5 Live for Tuesday, June 29th. I am Sabrina Daly. Patrick Fauber's leadership of the United Democratic Party has been under sustained attack from factions within the UDP ever since surveillance footage capturing a domestic dispute between himself and the mother of his 2-year-old daughter surfaced several weeks ago. In the wake of that video going viral, a move was made to unseat Faber as leader of the opposition. Similar action is also being taken via a recall convention to remove him as party leader. Those moves are reportedly being orchestrated by a group known as the Caucus for Change, with Mesopotamia area representative Shyne Barrow as the apparent face of the crusade against Faber. Barrow has since been appointed leader of the opposition. This morning, during an appearance on Open Your Eyes, Barrow said that he would be prepared to relinquish his post as opposition leader should Faber willingly leave office as party leader.
I am saying to you now that I would be prepared to resign as leader of the opposition if Patrick Faber would resign as leader of the party and have no recall. He doesn't put his name back in for the next convention for this term while we're in opposition, to allow us to rebuild with someone that we can all have confidence in and doesn't bring the distractions that you claim he and I bring. I am prepared to do that. That's how much I love my party and I love the institution of the UDP, and this is not about me. If you see things are headed in a certain direction and you are a leader, leadership calls for drastic measures. Leadership calls for uncomfortable decision making. So you have to say, you know, well, how did it end up to be me? Very, very fair question. As many have seen, we were in conversations with the Honorable Tracy Panton, with the Honorable Hugo Pat, and we had all agreed that Tracy Panton would be the best person to lead this charge of reform, to lead this charge to restore public trust and confidence, and to show the masses that we hold our leaders accountable, and she agreed. Now, what happened after that, what type of psychological games and pressures and intimidations led to her reversal, you'd have to have her on your show to ask her those questions.
Is former Belize City Mayor Darrell Bradley being appointed for leadership of the United Democratic Party? Opposition leader Shyne Barrow says no, but a path has been cleared for Bradley to enter the National Assembly. This makes him eligible to run for party leader should the July 11th recall convention be successful.
I know what needs to be done. As you can see, so I don't want to be the leader of the party. That is why I appointed Darrell Bradley to give him an opportunity.
You're handpicking him as the next potential leader for the party.
No, I'm not handpicking him. I've had
you created a space in the Senate.
What I'd like to tell you that I've had discussions with the wider party, with the 300 delegates, the leadership of the constituencies, and he's a name that just kept coming up. The Honorable Michael Perfeet is amply qualified as well. So I'm not handpicking anyone. The leader of the opposition has the privilege of appointing his senators. But certainly Darrell Bradley is an exciting name when it comes to the leadership conversation. You know, Michael Perfeet is amply qualified, and I'm certain that he would rise to the occasion should circumstances allow for a convention.
Plagued by allegations of domestic abuse, Patrick Faber's image, according to members of the party, is not the wholesome appearance that needs to be portrayed while the UDP rebuilds. But if you ask the embattled party leader about the root cause of the turmoil he is facing, he will tell you that it's the old faces conspiring to have him deposed. For his part, Shyne Barrow insists Faber does not have the moral standing necessary to lead the United Democratic Party.
I've said to my colleagues, "Uno give me a little chance, make a rebuild the party, man. Uno can't show up here if people say uno not the problem. Uno can't demand for run again and be be at the forefront when you lose by all of them margins. We have to study what the people say. And give me one lead time. And they say in a crowd, make you understand what happened. Give me a lead time, make a piece the thing back together. Make a put up one good solid force in the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Make a put up one good shadow cabinet with faces where people want to be encouraged and say, boy, Faber, really, they try to put things back together and reform the UDP.
How is it then that you will lead that charge to set a standard for candidates, to set a standard for behavior, if you are not at the paragon of your actions and your conduct? So I definitely think having a leader that people can rally around and that can have that authority where nobody can say, well, how could you tell me? Because that's what the masses in the party are saying. No, that, well, you said that you wanted to get rid of us and we should not run again and we should hide in the bushes because of our images, because our images are bad for the party. So now what about you, Mr. Leader?
Tonight, News 5 has an exclusive interview with the Belizean ambassador to Mexico, Oscar Arnold, about the murders of 2 Belizeans in Tulum. Last week, the reports from that Mexican town went viral after a video recording of the scene was posted. Worst fears were confirmed for several families from Corozal when they learned that their loved ones, who were supposedly working in other parts of Belize, were among the victims in the brazen afternoon attack by gunmen in Tulum. As News 5's Dwayne Moody finds out tonight, the men entered Mexico illegally and the motive for the killing is still not known. And contrary to social media reports, one man is still alive.
The family and friends of Christian Folgerite, Vladimir Edward Chablet and Ryan Aquino are still without answers as to what transpired last Thursday in the Mexican town of Tulum in the state of Quintana Roo. Folgerite and Chablet were executed when gunmen stormed an area. Aquino fortunately survived the attack and is recovering. While Mexican authorities have been tight-lipped as to the motive behind the vicious killings, official details are now being shared.
We've received official information that the incident did take place after we've provided the documentation and certified that yes, Belizeans were involved and were the victims. We now have in hand the official coroner's report that has the cause of death for Mr. Christian Folgerite, which is the trauma caused by a firearm projectile to the thoracic area. And for Mr. Chablet, it was a hemorrhage due to the fracture at the base of the skull caused again by a firearm projectile. And so that is the official information we have. We've been in communication with the Fiscal General del Estado de Quintana Roo, which is the head of their state police, as well as the Fiscal Especialidad en Homicidios, which is the homicide unit, the murder unit for their police force in that state. Their investigation is still ongoing. They have said that they're questioning a few people. They're looking at the witness reports of trying to locate other people who were in the vicinity at that time. But they have not ventured or cautioned a reason as to why this attack took place.
Belizean ambassador to Mexico, Oscar Arnold, says that in the wake of the murders, the authorities have taken Aquino into custody, as it has since been determined that the men had entered Mexico illegally.
We got word where Mr. Aquino was. He was injured, but he was being treated for his injuries. And after treated for his injuries, he was handed over to INM, which is the Mexican immigration, for immigration violations.
Although based in Mexico City, the Belizean embassy has been working with its counterparts in Chetumal to allow for the bodies of Folgerite and Chablet to be brought back to the country and handed over to the families for burial.
Over the weekend, we coordinated with our consul in Chetumal, Ms. Dr. Montero, for the families to provide all the information that they needed so that the bodies could be prepared and so that the relevant documentations can be prepared for the bodies to be transported to the border and handed over to the families for them to have some type of closure.
Meanwhile, Aquino will be processed for immigration offenses in Mexico and then repatriated. Ambassador Arnold says that a request has been made for that process to be expedited, hopefully within a week's time.
For the Mexicans, really what they do is they process them through the system, they register them in their system, and they try to repatriate them back home. the process of dragging them through the court system, charging and then holding them, really is not what they do over here. And rightfully so, they're trying to make sure that they don't have a backlog of people in the system. And so in the case of Mr. Aquino, because of the circumstances under which immigration and the police came to know Mr. Aquino, we've asked that special considerations be made for his safety and for the repatriation process to try to be expedited where possible.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
While his case, whether fortunate or unfortunate, will see him repatriated to Belize, Ryan Aquino is one of over 20 Belizeans that have been sent back to the country from Mexico in the past couple months. Over 24 others remain in detention facilities across Mexico. A number of them were trying to get to the U.S., but were nabbed by immigration authorities. Ambassador Oscar Arnold warns of the risks being taken by Belizeans when they enter Mexico illegally.
I want to urge Belizeans that right now the land borders are closed off, with the exception for essential travel and for tourists traveling into the country. We've seen a spike in individuals coming across the border, but not passing through the formal immigration checkpoints. And so that has to be a concern. And individuals must know that they put themselves and their lives in harm's way when they do that, because then no one has a record of you entering or exiting the country.
Coming up, you got your vaccinations. Now what? The debate about whether or not vaccinated Belizeans should get an easing of COVID-19 restrictions. Find out what the experts and News 5 viewers say when we come back.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "Wherefore let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall." I was witnessing to a friend of mine once who said to me, "Bob, if I have as much fun in hell as I have in going, it's going to be a great place." Perhaps you too have heard people scoff at hell and death and openly defy it. Many who boast of their self-sufficiency and who reject the idea of their need for God and religion need to take seriously the testimony of others who shared such a common belief but found out too late how wrong they had been. As one who has stood by many dying people, I want you to know that when death knocks at their door, their attitude is altogether different. Sir Thomas Scott on his deathbed said, "Until this moment I thought there was neither a God nor a hell. Now I know and feel that there are both, and I am doomed to perdition by the just judgment of the Almighty." M.F. Rich, an atheist, cried, "I would rather be on the stove and broil for 1,000,000 years than to go into eternity with the eternal horrors that hang over my soul. I have given my immortality for gold, and its weight sinks me into an endless, hopeless, helpless hell." The Bible says, "The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. Let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall." Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
So I'm going to wonder if by chance I could get your number. It's Digi. Nice.
Of course. You have digital, right?
Yeah. Of course.
The truth is, your credit lasts way longer with Digi. Like if you top up with like $30, that could last you 90 days. With the other guys, that must save 60. Then with the other guys, you have to use all of your good prime credit before you even touch your bonus credit. But with Digi, you could use your bonus credit before you even touch your prime credit. Like what are the point to have free credit if you can't use it how you want? So what are your number?
Just give me one moment.
The truth is, only Digi offers nationwide LTE coverage, fastest mobile data speeds, and the best call quality.
the COVID-19 vaccination drive continues countrywide, one of the recurring questions is, should those who are fully vaccinated have to continue living with all of the restrictions being imposed by the government of Belize? It's a growing topic of debate. Today, News 5's Paul Lopez explored the different perspective and even surveyed our viewers to find out what they think.
Will the Minister of Health and Wellness say why COVID-19 restrictions have not been lifted for those citizens who are fully vaccinated? This is one of the three questions Leader of the Opposition Moses Shyne Barrow will pose inside the National Assembly on Friday.
Why not these people that are fully vaccinated, they can enjoy the mass gatherings, they can enjoy concerts, sporting events, etc. Because that way you can manage the population in a way that will contain the spread of COVID.
It is a position that the Minister of Health and Wellness, appearing on a segment of Open Your Eyes, says his ministry is considering.
We're also looking to see, Marlene, how we can ease up, how we can allow people who have been fully vaccinated some other measures of freedom, so to speak, that those who have not yet been vaccinated would not be allowed to enjoy.
1 month ago, the Center for Disease Control in the United States issued guidelines for fully vaccinated people. One of the key points the CDC made is that fully vaccinated people can, quote, resume activities without wearing masks or physically distancing, end quote. This includes indoor activities like indoor gatherings with people from multiple households, full capacity worship services, and crowded outdoor events. We turn to Dr. Fernando Cuellar at the Belize Medical Associates for his thoughts on the question of whether fully vaccinated persons should be afforded additional liberties in our country as well.
That's a very interesting question, and I'm sure it will lend to a lot of debate and back and forth, no? But generally, I would say yes. I would say that vaccinated persons should be given that extra privilege to be able to do or to attend the different activities you mentioned, sporting events, for example. No? However, it should also be taken in the context of what's going on. Like, for example, right now we see the numbers not going in the direction we want, and we would have to react to those. No? Everything is fluid, and I think persons will have to understand that as things happen, so will the different guidelines come out. No? I would think that the vaccinations and the more liberties would be kind of even an incentive for people to be vaccinated. You know, we see the poor uptake, we see the whole the vaccination not going as well as we would want it to. And indeed, at the end of the day, the vaccination is our way out back to normalcy. So it should be considered an incentive for, hey, if you're vaccinated, then you have more liberties. So go to the restaurants and the different smaller gatherings as long as the country permits it. No.
We also posed this question to an event planner and promoter, production manager at Rummage's Mass, Demi Williams.
From event planning perspective, it's definitely encouraged to incentivize persons with telling them that once they've been fully vaccinated, they can return to some sense of normalcy, which is kind of the whole point of why we have a vaccine to begin with, so that we could get back to our regular way of life. The entire world has been devastated by COVID, not just from a health perspective, but how many economies did it crash, you know? And the entertainment industry accounted for billions of dollars worldwide. And those billions basically never exist last year, especially here in Belize, where we have such an intricate promotional community with DJs, promoters, venues, all of them losing out. And of course, the people that we cater to, our patrons, not having that entertainment, that nightlife, or just any form of release from everyday stress. So we've been in this pandemic for over a year now, and that burnout, of course, has now hit. And people lose up to a year and a half of their lives, and they're tired of being home. So naturally, getting vaccinated would be the better alternative to, get you back from a certain way of life.
News 5 social media followers were asked the same question, and the response we received varied. There are those who do not believe fully vaccinated persons should be given added liberties, while many others are of the opinion that greater freedoms should be afforded to the fully vaccinated. One of the most popular comments also suggested it may serve as an incentive. And as the conversation continues into Friday's House meeting, vaccination cards may soon become our new identification cards to enter business establishments and public functions.
If I am an establishment and I want to allow for gatherings that are not in keeping with the protocol to protect against the spread of COVID, then I must find the funds to hire a person from the Ministry of Health who has a ledger of all of the people who are vaccinated. That is easy to do, and so you cannot enter my establishment to enjoy live music.
In order to determine if somebody is fully vaccinated, those vaccination cards would have to be like your identification cards. I noticed the size of ours, it's kind of big. Yeah, it's big, which I personally think was a little bit unnecessary, and saving the trees is always a thing. It could have been more shaped like an identification card, kind of like what the ones in the States look like, the little CDC cards that you get, and that makes it easier to transport. So maybe that's a tip the ministry could look into.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness has yet to say whether any decision has been taken on allowing fully vaccinated persons added liberties. We expect to hear more on that on Friday when the House of Representatives meets. Dr. Cuellar noted that while the vaccination adds a layer of protection that can prevent serious illness and even death, it does not stop people from catching the virus. Still, those who are not vaccinated are more likely to end up in the hospital or ICU unit.
The final objective, the reason we are getting vaccinated is to prevent serious illness and death. Hospitalization, ICU, pain and suffering and death. That's the real use of the vaccine. The vaccine does not prohibit or does not stop somebody from catching the virus. Okay, there's even some debate if you catch it, if you're infectious. Okay, that's why I would still suggest that although we are vaccinated like I am, we still use face masks. Okay, we're not quite out of it yet, right? But I, for one, myself and those around me, have applied the vaccine to prevent serious illness and death. And I'm seeing that in my practice over the past 3 months, 4 months. No? The people who have been vaccinated are the ones who do not get terribly sick, as opposed to those who have been not vaccinated would end up in the hospital and in the ICU unit.
As the number of active COVID-19 cases continue to rise at a rapid rate, there are suspicions that a new and more transmissible variant of the virus may already be spreading across the country. That is yet to be proven, and Dr. Cuellar says he hopes that the Ministry of Health and Wellness do the necessary work to find out.
I think human behavior, people behavior, I think is number one though. Okay? I think we should still be very cautious of how we're going to gather and practice the three basic things we've been taught for the past 18 months. And I indeed am suspicious that we might have a variant in Belize. Unfortunately, we can't prove or disprove it. But from what I'm seeing, it's quite possible, very possible that we have a variant in Belize, no? And I'm hoping that the authorities can do the necessary studies to see if indeed that's the case. No? The variant is more of transmissibility. It's easier to catch. It's easier to transmit from one to the other, and that might be playing a role in why we're seeing some numbers creeping up.
The Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management continues to monitor the fire at the Sleeping Giant mountain area. For over 3 weeks now, smoke has been billowing in the sky and can be seen from a distance. But what was once a plume of smoke has expanded to almost 3 acres of forest. Today, News 5 spoke with CEO Dr. Kenrick Williams about the concerns over the damage this is causing to the forest.
What we've seen since that visit on June 21st, I think it was, we have seen some extent in terms of rate of burn. We have seen an expansion of the fire in itself. You would note that instead of a single plume, we have several key areas that are burning. No? But all in all, the fire is largely contained. What we see is that the rate of expansion of the fire is lower than actually anticipated. I think our chief forest officer indicated that we have up to about 2.5 acres burnt. We had anticipated between Friday and Monday, we would have seen a double because of the rate that we'd seen earlier. But fortunately, the rate is lower than anticipated. There is some concern to the extent of burn, the biodiversity, the forest ecosystem, because of course there's a lot of scarring because the nature of the biodiversity would be addressed in terms, would be affected, in terms of the area that they occupy. But again, we're really assessing to make sure that the extent is not significant that would outweigh the cost of going up there and doing so. Because of the elevation and the terrain of this area, it's very difficult to address this fire by ground support.
The burning detritus is the result of a lightning strike that hit the area in early June. The Forest Department has been filing daily reports from the area. CEO Williams says that while they are looking at a few options for air support to douse the area if the burning persists, they are hoping for a natural solution to the problem.
Given the projected rains over the next couple of days, so I just spoke to our chief met who indicated that we're seeing about 1 to 2 inches of rain per day. And up to Thursday, we expect some increase in showers. And so we're banking on that, in terms of addressing that issue. We are monitoring this fire really on a daily basis. So we have our teams going out there. We had an assessment yesterday done to see the rate and the extent. And so based on the rate of the fire as well as the meteorological forecast, we expect that at least the rains will help us to abate the issue. We're going to continue to monitor and see how that goes. And if not, then we will have to bank on air support. We have some air support on hold. We've already engaged 2 options that we're looking at. We have them on hold, and we're hoping that, because of course those are costly options, no? And so because of that, we're hoping that the rate is not too extensive, so that the cost-benefit analysis is that with the rains, we're going to address the issue substantially, and either it really douse the fire, and so it reduces the spread. No?
There's more news after the break, but first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
In 2016, I saw the opportunity to be an agent, and I then became the youngest agent at the age of 23, ready for that first client to walk in my door. What I love about being an agent is honestly dealing with people, and I also get to appreciate every single person that steps foot in my office. I am your neighbor, I am your friend, I am your RF&G agent.
Find your nearest RF&G agent on our website at rfginsuranceBelize.com, where it pays to get it right.
In exercise of the power conferred upon it by Section 7 of the Electricity Act, Chapter 221 of the Laws of Belize, and with the approval of the Minister, the Public Utilities Commission PUC, the Commission hereby notifies the general public that it intends to enact a bylaw in relation to electricity procurement and power purchase. The bylaw shall govern the procurement processes for wholesale, distributed energy resources, and short-term power purchases by addressing the roles of the Commission and the utilities. The bylaw seeks to secure public welfare, national security, and services at the best value for money. Further clarify the exercise by the Commission of its duties under the Public Utilities Commission Act and Electricity Act. Provide for increased conservation and efficiency of electricity resources by utilities and equitable retail rates for consumers, and detail the RFP and PPA processes. Regulatory tools to achieve the Commission's public interest mandate of setting tariffs for the provision of electricity service to the public. Members of the public are invited to give their comments by email info@puc.bz or post by 17 July 2021. The draft bylaw may be viewed in its entirety at the offices of the Commission at 41 Gabriel Lane, Belize City, or on the PUC website at www.puc.bz.
No make no sense at all. No kind of sense. That Belize video when I have that sign up there in China for.
That not in your Chinese at all, that in Spanish.
You understand what it said then?
Yeah. It said wear your face mask properly, cover your nose and your mouth.
Will help prevent the spread of COVID to others. Together we could make Belize safe.
Wear your mask properly over your mouth and nose to protect yourself and others. Together we can keep Belize COVID-19 safe.
In an update to a story from Caye Caulker over the weekend, a woman has been charged with stabbing Tito Rosado in the chest. The incident happened on Avenida Hikaco, where police on patrol came across the injured fisherman who was bleeding from the upper body. Rosado told police that he was attacked by Grace Gallego, his father's common-law wife, with an edged instrument. Rosado was airlifted to Belize City, where he is presently in stable condition at the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital. Meanwhile, Gallego has been arrested and charged for the crime of wounding. In other court news, Canadian Jasmine Hartin made bail today and was released this afternoon from the Belize Central Prison in Hattieville. Details of who stood bail or the $30,000 surety for her this time were not shared by her attorney Darrell Bradley, nor is it known if she will be returning to San Ignacio, where she was staying until last Friday. Hartin spent the weekend at the prison after her bail was withdrawn by Frank Habet of Grant Colony. On Friday, Hartin was also arraigned in the San Pedro Magistrates Court for common assault and possession of a controlled drug. She was offered bail of $1,000 for those charges before she was brought to Belize City before the Supreme Court. She is to appear in San Pedro's Magistrates Court to face charges of manslaughter by negligence on August 12th in connection with the death of Police Superintendent Henry Jamot on the island in May. The Caribbean Court of Justice has upheld an appeal by Belizean Solomon Marin Jr., who was sentenced to 2 concurrent terms of 10 years. each after he was found guilty in 2006 of robbery and kidnapping. In a hearing presided over by Justice Adrian Saunders for a case presented by the attorney Anthony Sylvester with the Director of Public Prosecutions, Sherilyn Vidal, as the respondent, Marin appealed the conviction and the sentences. It took 9 years for his appeal to be heard, and Marin subsequently withdrew his appeal against the sentences, but maintained his appeal against the guilty verdict. He argued that the delay between his conviction and his appeal hearing breached his fundamental right to a fair hearing within a reasonable time. In reading the verdict of the appeal case, CCJ Justice Peter Hamandar stated in part, quote, "It was declared that the right of the appellant under Section 6 of the Belize Constitution to a fair hearing within a reasonable time by the excessive delay in the hearing and decision of his appeal to the Court of Appeal. It was ordered that 1, the appeal is allowed, and 2, a further enforcement of the sentence of imprisonment imposed on the appellant is permanently stayed," unquote. Marin and his then 17-year-old cousin were charged for kidnapping Leon Castillo as he was leaving the First Caribbean Bank ATM in Belmopan. Castillo identified the men during a police lineup and said they threatened him with a sawed-off shotgun and forced him into the back seat of his own vehicle. They then took him to a feeder road off the Hummingbird Highway, put the gun to his head, and threatened to kill him. They eventually left him tied to a tree. Marin was found guilty while his co-defendant was acquitted. According to News 5's archives, a third man was never arrested for the incident, which occurred on August of 2006. The Football Federation of Belize and the Ministry of Sports signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Education this afternoon to roll out the Football in School program. It's a FIFA program that offers students new opportunities to get active through football. The program will be incorporated in the curriculum and rolled out over the next 4 years for Belizean students from age 5 to 15.
This program, I must say, is a very important program which we at the National Sports Council will use as a testing phase on how we can expand that to other disciplines. So definitely we're looking forward to that. Like CEO Mejia mentioned, we will be using this and study closely on how we can develop young people in our country.
The past year has been challenging in so many ways, right? And sports is such a big part of mental health and wellness. The core needs that we're looking at, the core subjects, are English, math, social studies, and science. And I think you all would be pleased to know that the other 2 core areas that we really want to focus on are art and physical education. They're that important. I know that I am preaching to the choir when I say that playing football teaches you so much. You don't just develop core strength, you develop stamina and you learn strategy. And those are life skills. So from the perspective of the Ministry of Education, we're willing to support this program. We're willing to support with the teaching of the theory as it's needed in school, with supporting for having the teachers, the PE teachers get training to be coaches, supporting the administration so that they understand that this is an important program. And then within the ministry proper, we will be identifying someone who can work with you to ensure that the program can go through the full life over the next 4 years.
Just ahead, a court case challenges what they say is a monopoly in the LPG industry. Find out who took GOB to court when we return.
Nation, rain or shine, any weather. When we go ball, we go Berger. Quality paint, no faded colors. When we go ball, we go Berger. Let your imagination run free. Any color for this space, when we say ball, that mean it don't peel. Quality quality and every color lifetime guarantee. When we go bold, we go Berger. When we go bold, we go Berger. Rain or shine, any color you need. When we go bold, we go Berger.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
Hey guys, I'm Brighton Cod, and I want to tell you about an app that's going to change the insurance game. Imagine insurance made easy. That's exactly what Home Protector Insurance has done with the new HPI app. Instant claims, fast transactions, and real-time updates are just a few of the ways this insurance app is going to change your life. Whether it's for your car, your house, your life, or any of the other services provided, HPI app has got you covered. With a user-friendly interface, only with Home Protector can you get all your insurance needs in the palm of your hands. But don't take my word for it. Download the app, give it a try. Let me know what you think. And if you're not insured with Home Protector, then we've got to have a serious talk.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
2020 taught us the importance of being connected to the virtual world, and NextGen is here to keep its commitment to you. Even if you're physically apart, NextGen keeps you digitally connected.
Okay everyone, thank you for following me today.
NextGen provides more than just an internet plan. They provide service plans that support all your online needs. Sign up today and get your NextGen's ultra-high-speed internet service. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Belize is kicking off Father's Day with popping deals for dad. In the month of June, visit a Belize near you and get 19 to 25% off selected items such as Milwaukee and Axie power tools, Charbroil barbecue grills, car care products, Karcher pressure washers, and much, much more. Make dad happy with popping deals for dad in June, only at Belize.
Belize, Belize, oh, Belize.
Back in 2019, the attorney for the Central American butane companies of Gas Tomza, Bewell, Zeta, Southern Choice, and Western Gas Company filed a case against the government of Belize, arguing that GOB created an agreement and passed subsequent legislation for an LPG monopoly. This was the National Gas Company Limited. NGCL became the sole importer of LPG for the country of Belize, and now Gas Tomza, Bewell, Zeta, and all other butane businesses must buy from NGCL. Since the matter was filed, there have been some delays in the court, caused largely by COVID-19 pandemic. But the virtual hearing began before the acting Chief Justice Michelle Arana last Friday. Attorney Audrey Matura shares why they have brought the matter before the court and what her clients are seeking.
We sued, my clients brought a constitutional claim against the government because it's the government who did the secretive definitive agreement that was later discovered after they then passed the legislation for the National Gas Company to operate as a monopoly, and then have since then been passing different pieces of legislation that the Belizean public doesn't seem to be aware, that keeps ensuring that that monopoly becomes very wealthy and the Belizean people are paying for it. That is what it's the essence of it. Now, our constitutional claim is that our clients have not been treated equally before the law because special law was made for another group, but they're not equal under the law. No special law was made for them, or they're not included in that law, rather they're excluded. Our other part of the claim is that their right to work, to decide to work in the trade that they do, and their trade is to import so that they can distribute in Belize, that has also been violated. So we are saying that that's another constitutional right that needs to be dealt with before the court. And so we're just at the hearing stage, and after this then there should be a decision. We're seeking that they find that their constitutional rights were breached, and that as a result of that breach they have suffered damages, financial damages, but also we want that they find that once the constitutional rights were breached, that those legislation that created the monopoly be quashed and that they be allowed to import. Now that's very important because that is basically what they want, to be able to continue doing business as they did before as importers. They're not saying that the National Gas Company cannot do business as well, but they're saying let it be a fair competition. Let them do business and let us do business.
Matura says she has presented evidence to support her clients' case. That is, that their constitutional rights have been breached. She says their case shows that the government's decision to create the monopoly locked out her clients from operating business as they did before.
It's a whole lot of evidence, really it's a whole lot. But basically what we're showing is that we're showing a history that our clients were here over 30 years ago. They've established the market here. We are showing where there was always the right to import. They've been importing all along. We show all the documents. And then we're showing that under the Constitution, they have the right to continue. So it's a lot of documentation, but basically we are just trying to prove to the court that these people had these rights under the Constitution. The way we established that they have these rights is because we show that they were already enjoying those rights. These are things that were there. And we're saying the way it has been breached is because when you've created the monopoly, they no longer are able to do these acts. They're no longer to do business as they did. And we've been able to present this evidence. NGC is a sole importer. Who brings in the product determines the price. There's no two ways about that. If my 4 clients were bringing in their own product, they would have been bringing it at different prices and could have competed. Then what the government has done and has refused to explain to us, they have refused to define what is wholesale. They say that the prices are fixed, but the SI doesn't say it is fixed. They keep raising prices, but they don't tell us on what basis these price increases are, because many times the international prices are not increased. So I don't see how they could say NGC is not part of the market. You cannot buy from anyone else except NGC.
The matter goes back to trial on the 8th of July. Just ahead, the Fisher of the Year is announced. We will give you a hint. She is from Caye Caulker. But first, here's the weather forecast with data from the Belize Met Service.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
I was 17 and in love, and I thought he loved me too. But now I know that a loving partner should not take away your choice of clothes you wear or the music you listen to. He should not take away your purse, car keys, or your phone so that when your family calls, you cannot answer. If your partner is controlling you, it is domestic violence. Call 0800 A Way Out or our cell phone number 672-9628. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission in collaboration with Miss Universe Belize with funding from the Engender and Spotlight Project.
Why, Tony?
Boy, kid, what you going on, man?
I'm actually going to see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing things since April 15th, you know. And I just routed the last batch, must have been like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What are you going?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
Es un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
Is Belize looking to tap into the potential of the global Finfish market? That's just a part of a bigger plan that the Ministry of Blue Economy and its partners have for Finfish sector in Belize. While Belize was a primary exporter of some species of finfish over the last several years, there are renewed efforts to reinvigorate the economic opportunities with a management plan. As a part of those efforts, the Belize Fisheries Department and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development and partners held a workshop called Adaptive Multi-Species Finfish Management. News 5 stopped in to find out more.
We have decided to pay close attention to our finfish fishery. It is a resource which we don't have as structured a management regime for as we do with some of our more established fishery, in particular lobster and conch. But it's a very important resource at the end of the day. And the Ministry of the Blue Economy and the Fisheries Department is very much targeting and ensure that we have as a priority the regimes in place which would speak to sustainable use, but also regimes which speaks to the creation of a fishery that can continue to contribute meaningfully to our national economy and also to livelihoods and to the people in Belize. And at the end of the day, to understand how we can develop it both from a domestic market standpoint, but also how do we now look at the resource and its potentials for exportation, foreign markets that can now bring in much needed revenues into Belize. Coming out of the Fisheries Department, we have some very important resources that we don't traditionally have a history of catching, such as our deep slope species. And so it provides a good opportunity for us to create sustainable diversification in terms of commodities for the fishers, and also for us to put less pressure on our already heavily exploited nearshore resources such as our conch and lobster. And so this workshop here today is in partnership with the Environmental Defense Fund, who are hired to facilitate the process, along with the Fisheries Department, to come up with a Finfish multi-species management plan for Belize. It is hopeful that this workshop would now validate the draft that has been developed, and then it would go to the Ministry for endorsement and implementation.
Today's workshop was attended by fisherfolk, NGO partners, marine scientists, co-managers of marine parks and sites, officials from the Ministries of Blue Economy and Foreign Trade, as well as international experts. A Caye Caulker woman has been named Fisher of the Year by the Belize Wildlife Conservation Society. Maria Allen, who grew up in a fisherfolk family, has been fishing for over 30 years. Today she shared her experiences in the fishing industry.
My father is he was a fisherman. His name is Darrell Allen. He was a founder of Northern Fisherman Cooperative. So through him, that is how I got to be a fisherwoman, because I always used to go out with him and it really excited me, so that is how I got into it. My husband, he wasn't really into the fishing, but I introduced him into it, so he's a first-timer with me. Well, we do lobstering, deep sea fishing, shallow fishing. We sometimes do the conch, but not really, no. But it's very interesting. It's nice. You get to see all sorts of stuff. You get to see something different every day. We do lobstering with the traps, and we do it with we do shades.
Okay.
That is the two types we do.
You build the traps yourself?
Yeah, we build the traps. My husband, I have two sons also. I forgot to include them.
Okay.
They're also fishermen that they work along with us, and we build the shades and we build the traps. On Caye Caulker, I have lots of friends, no, and I introduce them and I tell them to like do it, you know, because it's nice not only for the money, but then you get to learn a lot, you know. So I try to instill a lot of emphasis not only with the women, no, with the men too, because the younger generation coming up, I try to instill in them and tell them, you know, it's good to be a fisherman, go out there, and you know, it's money to make out there, but also you get, you know, you have a job and you don't have to depend on anyone.
Victoria Tun of Dangriga and Nestor Lopez of Corzal Town were also selected as Outstanding Fishers of the Year. The Fisher of the Year will receive $2,000 cash prizes, while the two outstanding fishers will receive a combined total of $1,000 and cash and prizes. And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.